Good evening, welcome to FA Cup Live here on LFS for the round 5. Already 3 ties done and dusted, 1 currently underway and 4 still to come this weekend here on LFS. We will have 3 of the next 4 games for you live here over the weekend. But first, it's to the reigning Premier League champions, Manchester City, who put Leyton Orient out in round 4, and a Plymouth side who knocked out the current Premier League leaders in Liverpool in round 4. They meet at the Etihad. It's a 5:45 kickoff. We'll have a kickoff in a couple of minutes as the players in the tunnel at the Etihad Stadium. Already this weekend, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace and Preston have all booked their places into the quarter-finals of the competition, knocking out Cardiff, Millwall and Burnley all at home. Bournemouth are taking on Wolves in the first of a number of all Premier League ties this weekend. At the moment, they're locked at 1-1 into late stages of extra time in that game. That was a 3 o'clock kickoff this afternoon. They're into added time of extra time into 125th minute of that game. At the moment, Bournemouth desperately pushing for a winning goal, but a red card for Matheus Cunha, who got Wolves back into the game on the verge of penalties there. We will bring you the full time score of that one when it comes through. I can just confirm to you that they've just finished extra time, so a penalty shootout will decide the winner of that game at the Vitality Stadium. We'll tell you the details of that very shortly, but here at the Etihad Stadium, it's a Manchester City side that maybe need a bit of positivity about their season. They might go trophyless this campaign. They're out of the Champions League. They're not in the Cup final. They're definitely not winning the Premier League. The FA Cup is the only one they've got left to win. And they have a very good championship side in Plymouth, who, as I said, knocked out the champions-elect of the Premier League in Liverpool in round 4. We'll see if they can repeat that feat against the reigning Premier League champions Manchester City. Let's have a look at the two teams then. Starting with the home side, Stefan Ortega starts in goal this afternoon. A back 4 of Rico Lewis, Nathan Ake, Vitor Reis and Nico O'Reilly in the back 4 for Man City. Ilkay Gundogan in the defensive midfield role alongside Bernardo Silva. Kevin De Bruyne in the 10. James McAtee off the right-hand side of the attack. On the left side is Jack Grealish. And Phil Foden plays in that false 9 role further forward. On the bench for City, Edison, Vardiol, Diaz, Savinho, Nunez, Gonzalez, Haaland, Doku and Marmoush. A very strong Manchester City bench. For Plymouth, Conor Hazard starts in goal. A back 5/back 3 of Mumba, Tolivierov, Katic, Pleguezuelo and Ogbeta in defence. Boateng and Yabi are in the midfield too, with Sorinola and Wright as the wingers, and leading the line, Mustafa Bundu, who is centre forward for Plymouth. On the bench for the Latics, Grimshaw, Palson, Edwards, Pujac, Souks, Roberts, Houghton, Alhaj and Beidou. It is Manchester City against Plymouth, and as I said, Plymouth not too unaccustomed to a giant killing already. Can they make it 2 out of 2 to try and find a quarter-final place, or can Man City keep their hopes of a trophy this season alive this evening? Kick-off at the Etihad is next. A very good evening and welcome to the Etihad Stadium for this one this evening between Manchester City and Plymouth in the 5th round of the FA Cup. As I already mentioned, one game still going there, waiting penalties in that one at the Vitality Stadium between Bournemouth and Wolves. We will bring you the latest from that game when we have it. At the moment, they haven't started a penalty shootout. They're still awaiting the penalties to begin there. But at the moment, it is 1-1 after extra time. So the two Premier League sides battling it out for one of those quarter-final places illustriously needed. Can Bournemouth keep their what has been a pretty good season so far, or a Wolves side looking for a little bit of distraction from relegation battling in the Premier League? We will see. Penalties on the way very, very shortly there. Already, as I said, two Premier League sides through, Villa and Crystal Palace, and Preston knocking out Burnley in that all-championship tie earlier this afternoon. As we get ready to get underway here at the Etihad, it's James McAtee that gets us going for Manchester City, who are in their home strip of sky blue and white shorts, and Plymouth Argyle in their green tops with the darker black shorts this evening. And of course, Plymouth's result against Liverpool in the fourth round was the result of the round, really, knocking out the Premier League leaders, and at this point, surely the champions-elect, with Liverpool's major lead at the top of the Premier League the title race. Plymouth have their own domestic, their own league problems to sort out and figure out for their season. The FA Cup can be a big distraction. It can be a very good distraction for teams that can come to the bigger sides, a Premier League side away from home. It's exactly what you would want. And your fans get a big day out. I'm sure Plymouth will want more of these in the future. I'm sure their sights are set on a Premier League, a current Premier League role. Ake looking to switch it out to the right. Brought down well by Bernardo Silva. Well latched upon there. Nice battling early on there from Ogbeta. And he plays it back to Katic, who sent it down the wing. And Mustafa Bundu was making a run. And Stefan Ortega will just guide that one behind for a goal kick. But that was decent work from Plymouth so far. They won the ball back well and they just went straight and direct from it. Winning the ball back, not wasting any time. Marian Mušlić's side. Here's Grealish. Tracked back into his own half, and referee playing advantage as Grealish was brought down, but City have the ball. Here is Rice. Ake. Across to the left-hand side for Grealish. Charging down the left side, looking for the overlap. Finding De Bruyne. O'Reilly gives it back to Ake. And now Vitor Reis. Down the right-hand side comes Bernardo Silva. Tiptoeing his way through. Gives it back to Reis. Now across to Ake. City starting to pen Plymouth in these early moments. Grealish up against Sorinola. And O'Reilly has to come backwards. We'll expect Manchester City to absolutely dominate possession. But Plymouth certainly gave Liverpool a real tough test. And their ability to be so stubborn out of possession and so disciplined out of possession was one of their massive traits, one of their massive positives of that Liverpool win. And the fact they were actually creating chances as well before they did score their penalty that won them the game. The ball into the box for the run of Lewis. Well cleared away, only as far as Bernardo Silva. It's De Bruyne trying to tiptoe his way through. Foden. And Grealish has the shot. Well blocked by Sorinola. And right now comes away with the ball. Sorinola. Cleared away by Tolovierov. Nice work from Bundu. Holds it up well to find Callum Wright. Now on the right hand side is Sorinola. Looking for a ball through. Well blocked by Nico O'Reilly. And will be a Plymouth throw-in. Positive from Plymouth there. Sitting off, sitting deep, sitting compact in their own box. Crowding out the City attackers, and then when they get the chance to get on the ball, they're calm, they're composed, and they try and find a play forward. It's clearly what they were trying to do when they played Liverpool at Home Park a number of weeks ago. And clearly that day it certainly worked against a very different looking Liverpool side that day. Albeit, doesn't take anything away from the result of Plymouth and the performance they put in. Only one of a number of defeats Liverpool have felt this season. Only 4 defeats in all competitions this season, Liverpool. 1 in the Champions League, 1 in the Premier League, 1 in the FA Cup and 1 in the Carabao Cup. Of course, they were beaten in the semi-final first leg against Spurs, but they recovered it in the second leg. So Plymouth certainly in a small grouping of teams that have overcome a pretty fiercely looking Liverpool. Here's O'Reilly down the left-hand side, finding Grealish. Up against Sorinola, cuts it inside, a bit far for De Bruyne, who was well closed down. Kept alive by Gundogan. Lewis out to the right side now for Bernardo Silva. Again, well crowded out. Couldn't find the cross. Gives it back to his centre-backs now. Ake. He will switch it to the left. Finding Grealish. Takes on Sorinola. And Tolovierov. And Sorinola got a foot in. Again, City come right back at them. Grealish threads one through the Foden. Cuts it back to Gundogan trying to edge a shot. Not given the chance, and the ball out to the left side from Ilkay Gundogan. Massively overhit to his captain, Kevin De Bruyne. Goal kick to Plymouth. Again, really smart from Plymouth. Just calm. Not looking to rush into things, not looking to overcommit. Just soak up the pressure. And ask Manchester City questions. I mean, we saw how well, to be honest, a bit of a coincidence that I'm talking about Liverpool again, but, you know, maybe Plymouth looked at Liverpool's way and how they defended City here a week or two ago and sat off a lot of that game, did the visitors to the Etihad. And they crowded Manchester City out in those defensive areas, really solidified the kind of area of their 18-yard box. And someone like a Plymouth, no disrespect to the club whatsoever, but it's a lower league side coming to the Etihad or coming to a Premier League team. For a lot of the time, you're going to expect it to be out of possession, you're expected to be defending, and I think it's crucial from a Plymouth point of view that they have the area of their 18-yard box locked down and know kind of how to defend it. And from so far what we've seen, albeit only 6 or 7 minutes, but already a really compact, really disciplined approach from Plymouth out of possession. Manchester City not warmed up right yet, but having a lot of possession so far as expected. 83% of the ball for Manchester City to this point. Vitor Reis. Another one of those January signings. Vitor Reis, the 19-year-old Brazilian, joined from Palmeiras for £30 million in the January window. Made his only other Manchester City appearance in the FA Cup. Was on the bench for the 4 other games that he was involved in. All on the bench. Didn't make a sub-appearance in any of those games. But did play the game away at Leyton Orient in the 4th round. Manchester City came out 2-1 winners on that occasion. Here is Reis. Finding Bernardo Silva. Again steps in field. Plays it across to Ake. Finding Grealish down the left side. Lots of green and black in front of him. Crowding out those sky blue shirts. O'Reilly. Reis. Out wide to Bernardo Silva again, but the through ball a bit wasteful and a bit sloppy from Bernardo Silva. As Lewis does well battling to win it back. Down that right hand flank. Back with Ake. Gundogan. Swings it out to space for Grealish on the left side. Takes it down. Sorinola in the way. And right. Back to De Bruyne. Whips one in. Too high from Kevin De Bruyne. Nice idea. Good persistence for Manchester City. But the calmness and the composure from Plymouth, combined with that little bit of a unsophisticated start from Manchester City, seen us up to this point so far. In that only other game that is live at the moment in the FA Cup, Bournemouth against Wolves, they're into penalties in that one, and I can tell you, after 5 penalties apiece, it is 4-4 in that shootout. It was 4-3 to Wolves, with Bournemouth having to take their 4th penalty. It was saved from Dean Howson, who had his penalty saved for Bournemouth. That was 4-3 after 4 each. Then the 5th penalty from Wolves was saved, was off target from Matt Doherty, and Lewis Cook tied it up again. So it's 4-4 after 5 penalties apiece. So it is going to sudden death in the shootout there at the Vitality Stadium. We'll keep you posted on what the final result of that shootout will be. One of those Premier League sides will fall, but which one will it be? Here is Ake. Down the left for Foden. Grealish gives it back to O'Reilly. A bit of movement from Manchester City, and the fact that Phil Foden's just left his role of more central. Just come a bit further to the left side to try and link things up a little bit quicker. Here is Foden. De Bruyne. Back to O'Reilly again. City probably having to play the long game. Lovely little work from Foden. 1-2 link up with Grealish. And as he tried to run into the box there, Phil Foden. He did well to get the corner out of that situation. We'll see it again. Nice play down the left. Lovely 1-2 link up between Grealish and Foden. And as he gets into the box, Foden, he just plays the ball off Tolovierov. And it will be a corner to Manchester City on this left-hand side. That's smarter from City. He knew they were struggling to get the ball into the box. And corner taken short. Grealish has the shot straight at his man in front of him, and Tolovierov, and we'll go behind for another corner. Taken short this time. De Bruyne fizzes it into the box for Grealish. Acres of space and well closed down eventually by the Plymouth defence. And it goes out for a corner on the left side again for City. Taken short this time again by De Bruyne. McAtee back to De Bruyne, infield to Grealish, into the box, back to McAtee, who cuts it back for Foden, whose shot is dragged wide, but I think I might have took a deflection on the way through. Another corner to Manchester City. Again, it was really well choreographed, and I think Foden's shot was going in. If we see it again, Foden's effort was angling to that far post, and it was Tolovierov who got his right foot to it and carried it behind for the corner. It's taken short again by City. McAtee whips it to the back post, headed across, off a hand maybe. City fans and players calling for it. The referee, Craig Pawson, for the moment, says no, but Pleguezuelo is the one they feel committed that foul. We will see. Let's see it again. Yeah, that's harsh. That will be very, very harsh. I think it comes off his chest and then hits his kind of upper arm. That would be very harsh if that was given. And it's not. Checked and completed by VAR. No penalty. So the decision on field of no penalty stands. Just the corner to Manchester City. McAtee and De Bruyne again. De Bruyne to deliver this time. Flicked on! And headed over by Ilkay Gundogan. Nice idea. Switch it up a little bit. Couple of short corners. They commit the bodies of Plymouth out to try and track the men at the corner flag. Trick them for a nice whipped cross. And try and get the extra bodies. An extra little bit of space to try and get a clean head. Perfect execution right up until the header, which was over the bar by Ilkay Gundogan. Long kick there by Hazard. Header one in the midfield by Callum Wright, but given away to Grealish. Foden crowded out, one back by Plymouth. There's Ogbeta. Tried to find the loose pass. Gives it away as Gundogan bricks away with the ball. Now De Bruyne. Space now, De Bruyne. Bit overhit to McAtee. He will keep it in though. Back in field to his captain, De Bruyne. Now Lewis. As Manchester City continue to move the ball. We can tell you the penalties have been decided. We'll tell you that in a moment because City are in and around the box. Grealish well cleared away by Sorinola now. Trying to find Bundu in behind. Ake on the chase. Had it covered. Gives it back to Stefan Ortega. As I said, it is Bournemouth who have progressed to the quarter-finals of the FA Cup, beating Wolves by 5 penalties to 4 in the shootout. After 1-1, after 120 minutes, it was Bournemouth with their 6th penalty of the game. Luis Sinisterra scoring after Traore had missed for Wolves. Back-to-back misses in the shootout for Wolves knocks them out. It's Bernardo Silva's cross. Deep to the back post. Brought down by Grealish. Fed around to McAtee, whose effort was whipped. And whipped wide for a goal kick. Again, it's good work from the wide areas from City. Bernardo Silva getting it to the edge of the box, and as he swings it in, it falls to Grealish at the back post, who just squares it back across to McAtee, who tries to whip it, tries to get a bit of curl on the finish, and ends up seeing it go wide. Again, right up until that finish, it's all looking pretty positive for Manchester City. Absolutely dominated the first quarter of an hour here at the Etihad Stadium. Still goalless. Last touch off McAtee there. We'll get Plymouth the throw, although Pep Guardiola doesn't agree with the assistant's decision at that time. Felt it was a Man City throw. Ogbeta takes it, gives it back to Pleguezuelo. Now Katic. I'll have to go back to Hazard, who will thump it long. Connor Hazard. Bundu with a nice guided effort, couldn't find Callum Wright. As City try and find the ball in behind, well taken down by Sorinola, who can calmly just deliver the ball back to his goalkeeper. Rare bit of Plymouth possession here. Yabi on the turn, back to Tolovierov, and Sorinola tries the ball down the side. Blocked by Grealish, out for the throw-in. De Bruyne tried to go in behind, cleared away by Tolovierov, and well worked by Sorinola as he tries to fizz one in behind, but far too much on that one, and Ortega calmly collects, delivers out to Lewis. McAtee on the turn. Silva has to return it back to Vitor Reis. Now Gundogan on the turn now, has space to break here. Down the left is De Bruyne, now Grealish. Quick passing from City. Grealish back in, feeds to De Bruyne. Squares it across, finding Bernardo Silva in the box. Whips it round the back post, and the header from Ilkay Gundogan straight at the goalkeeper. Again, fabulously choreographed from Manchester City. It's almost like they could do this in their sleep. And again, nice delivery by Bernardo Silva. Perfect weight, perfect height. With a header from Ilkay Gundogan. Was just a bit too close to the Plymouth keeper, who'd make a pretty comfortable dive to his left-hand side to retrieve. That was a little bit better from Manchester City's point of view. Of course, as I mentioned in the opener, it's their only hope of a trophy this season, this competition. The only remaining hope of a trophy, with the out of the League Cup, out of the Champions League, and quite a far distance behind the league leaders in the Premier League. A good 20 points behind the league leaders, Liverpool or Manchester City. So the FA Cup, their last dying hope of some sort of silverware this season. Of course, they will be one of the favourites to win the competition. Here's Grealish down the left side. Rolls it in behind. De Bruyne at the byline, trying to cut it across. Fabulously blocked there by Tolovierov. Really smart defending from Plymouth, but actually really lovely football from City again. Grealish and De Bruyne combining down that left side. The corner was given. And De Bruyne's taken it quickly. As I'll hold my remarks. McAtee in the box. Clipped away. That time, I think Yabi got on the end of that one. Will be another Man City corner. I think that might be their 6th corner of the game. This will be their 5th or 6th corner of the game. One of the two. Quite a few in the opening 20 minutes or so. It's on this left side again. De Bruyne and McAtee are over it. De Bruyne will loop this one further. Back post. Ake with a header. Straight at the goalkeeper again. And Connor Hazard. A bit of catching practice for Hazard so far with a couple of those saves. As I was saying about Manchester City, they would be one of the favourites to win this competition. Beaten by Manchester United in the final last season. Season before they beat Manchester United in the final. So they certainly, there is a possibility they could repeat that. If United get through tomorrow and City get through today, and it's still very possible that we could have a third successive Manchester Derby FA Cup final, which I don't think has ever happened in the history of this competition. It was over 100 years actually since there was back-to-back finals of which the same two teams met in the FA Cup. Not since the 1800s that happened before this summer. Or last summer, apologies. Here's Mustafa Bundu. Rare attack here for Plymouth. Down the right-hand side is Sorinola. Feeds it through Bundu. Holding the ball up well against Ake. Wins Plymouth a throw in there off the Man City centre-back. High up in this right-hand side. For these fans on this side of the field, it's a rare viewing of the ball and of the play. The fact that a lot of the play's been up the other end of the field with Manchester City almost exclusively attacking for a lot of the game so far, as Pleguezuelo will take this throw in on the right side, and I think he's going to go for the long one into the box. It is looped into the box, headed down by Gundogan and cleared away by Foden, and Bernardo Silva just tiptoes it out of danger and out for another Plymouth throw, this time on the left hand side from the Portuguese. See that a lot more often now, those longer throw-ins in the final third. Certainly for a Premier League side, it's maybe not something they come up against every week. It's another one into the box by Pleguezuelo. Well defended by Gundogan. There's Callum Wright trying to battle Bernardo Silva for the ball. Silva gets it clear of lines, but couldn't keep the possession. Wright does well under pressure. Ogbeta back to Wright on the left-hand side here. Tried to break through a few. Linking up with Bundu. Oh, and cleared away last ditch by Man City. All of a sudden there, Plymouth Argyle fans thought they were in. And now City might be in at the other end as Foden denied by a very good challenge by Pleguezuelo. Game came to life all of a sudden there when, again, it all came from that long throw and it caused a little bit of unrest in the Man City defence. And as Plymouth kept the pressure on, really fabulous ball control from Callum Wright, linking up with Bundu. And they got themselves into the box, and it was a last-ditch challenge that got Man City out of danger. That was much more positive from the visitors, who most certainly can cause a threat here. We've barely seen any glimpse of it up until that point a moment or two ago. Here's Bernardo Silva at the right end of the field for his point of view and Manchester City's point of view. They're on the attack again, City. Ake down the left side finding De Bruyne. Trying to roll it round the back. Toliveiro got a foot in, and so did Sorinola. Off De Bruyne will be a Man City corner. Corner number 7. They've had 7 shots so far, Man City, but only one of them on target. And that was the Ilkay Gundogan header that was easily saved by Connor Hazard. De Bruyne to deliver again. Right-footed. Round the back again. Ake with a header. And headed it well past the post. Although, the officials have said that Pleguezuelo had a touch on that. See it again. Yeah, maybe he did actually. I think he's a bit unfortunate there, Pleguezuelo, because It looked like it came off both players at the same time. Kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, really. It could go either way, a goal kick or a corner out of that one. Corner it is for Man City. Right side, McAtee to deliver, left-footed. Well, high one and whipped one. Well, overhit though. Goal kick to Plymouth. Well, there was a player went down in the box, but referee moved there as Ake and Plegashuela were tussling. But he kind of just tripped himself over there, Nathan Ake, rather than anything else. And just a goal kick. But I have to say, pretty positive for Muslich's team so far. Since the win over Liverpool in this competition, they've won unbeaten in 3 of their last 4. And 3 out of the last 4, they've just lost one of those, which was the 2-0 defeat away at Blackburn. They beat Millwall 5-1 after that Liverpool win, and then back-to-back draws against Luton and Cardiff, home and away in the Championship. And so Beta there tried to break down the left, but he was well offside. Trying to get themselves up the table in the Championship, Plymouth. Try and get themselves out of that relegation zone. Sitting on 30 points. 3 points behind Hull City, who are in 21st. Keeping themselves within touching distance. Certainly want to take some confidence out of this game today, like they did against Liverpool a number of weeks ago. At the time, they were actually bottom of the Championship when they played Liverpool in the 4th round. Here is Bernardo Silva. Ogbeta in his way. And Ogbeta does really well there in blocking it out for a throw-in. Nathaniel Ogbeta, 23-year-old. Joined on a free from Plymouth for Plymouth last summer from Bolton. He was on loan at Bolton last year. Swansea is his parent club as Ilkay Gundogan hits the post. From the throw-in, Manchester City down the left side. See this again. Down the left-hand side, Grealish linking up one-on-one with De Bruyne. And as the ball bobbles back into the box from Grealish's cross, McAtee shields it. And Ilkay Gundogan trying to rocket it into the top right corner. Comes crashing off the post. And a bit of a scare there for Plymouth. That's a number of chances Ilkay Gundogan has had in this game so far. Looking the more threatening, the most threatening of the City players up to this point. That's nice ball control from Bundu. And did well there to lay it off now to Yabi. Tolovierov to Soridnola, back to Maxi Tolovierov. Katic gives it back to Connor Hazard. And the Olays are out from Plymouth. Their fans loving this so far. Who can blame them? They can watch their side play without really any pressure. You know, whenever the draw for the 4th round came out, they probably wouldn't have thought they were getting to this stage against a Liverpool side who were in incredible form at the time. But after that victory, getting to this one and then the draw, going to the Etihad, it's been a dream couple of weeks in the FA Cup for Plymouth, and that's what this competition's all about. Sometimes for the lower league clubs, it's all about their big day out, the big money package, and kind of a trip out for their fans. But it's also really about a distraction from the likes of Plymouth, who have league woes and in a relegation battle in the Championship. To have the FA Cup as that little distraction just to really take the pressure off and just play football and enjoy their side playing football And so far, I'm sure the Plymouth fans will be more than pleased with the 30 minutes that their side have played. Vast majority of it out of possession. And a lot of it, if not all of it, exclusively in their own half. But I know they're going to have to pull off some performance today, Plymouth. Probably even better than the one against Liverpool if they're going to head through to the quarterfinals. Here's O'Reilly. Now Grealish into the box. Well blocked there by Callum Wright, who was tracking back, and Sorinola finds Bundu, the outman. And Mustafa Bundu wins a foul off Ilkay Gundogan and gets Plymouth out of trouble. It's exactly what the target man should be doing. It's exactly what a target man should do. Holding the ball up and winning a foul to get your team up the pitch in a difficult moment. Mustafa Bundu had a few touches so far, a few involvements. Certainly holding the ball up pretty comfortably so far. As Connor Hazard is going to take this free kick for Plymouth. Get his team as far up the field as he can and try and get them a good attacking opportunity here. Hazard. Long one out to the right flank. Flicked on. Bundu was beaten to it by Ake, and then the clearance from O'Reilly wasn't kept in by Grealish. Throw into Plymouth on the right hand side. So far aerially, I think Plymouth have maybe had that little bit of an advantage, really. As Plegashuelo goes over to take this throw in. Goes for the long throw again into the box. Flicked on by Yabi. Okay, got there with the second one up against Tolovierov, and he clears it away of danger. Back it comes though. Bundu does well to hold it off now to Yabi. And now finding Ogbeta. Yabi. Ogbeta has to come back the way to Katic as Man City commit the press. Comes all the way back to Hazard. Still up the field for the moment, Plymouth, as Hazard goes long again. Ball chested down in the midfield by Bundu. And Yabi lays it off. Now Plegashuelo has space to break forward here. Plays a nice ball into the path of Yabi, or Bundu on the turn, sorry. Now Sorinola down the right side. Does well against O'Reilly and will win Plymouth a throw down the right side. It's good work by Nico O'Reilly defensively, but again from Plymouth, nice little deft ball into the midfield and given out wide, and Sorinola plays a nice ball and wins a throw in. Certainly showing positive signs when they're in the possession. And they've got bodies in the box now for this long throw on the far right side. Again, it will be Plegashuelo again to deliver. Flicked on by Katic. Chested down by Gundogan and thumped away from danger. Hazard goes long again. Headed by Reich. And Lewis tried to flick it into the midfield. Bit of a loose pass by Yabi there, but the City ball well overhead and just hoofed back into Plymouth's possession. Visitors battling well so far. Hazard goes long again. Bundu chests it down. And Bernardo Silva gets lucky there. That Ogbeta didn't have a better touch, because that could have been really threatening if he'd have found a run in behind. Here comes City again though with Grealish down the left side, trying to deliver one in. And it was, the ball back to the keeper. It was McAtee in the box, and he was fabulously challenged. And I thought Katic, as he headed it back to the keeper, that could have been a threat. And then Connor Hazard had it quite comfortably, but it was a nice ball into the box by Grealish, low and hard, and McAtee was central. Lovely little ball in. And McAtee blocked well by Plegashuelo, who was on the floor, and then Katic watches the ball and just heads it back to his keeper. Certainly more space for City, but at the same time, more of a threat from Plymouth. There's Reich. Back to Ortega. Now Ake. O'Reilly. Goes long this time, looking for the run of De Bruyne. Taken down deftly by Kevin De Bruyne, but going nowhere else. As Katic cleared it away, but only as far as Grealish. Through to Foden. A bit behind McAtee. Makes it work though. Ilkay Gundogan finding Lewis. McAtee with a flick on. Cleared away by Ogbeta. And Mumba getting involved there. And Bundu with a pressure on Vitor Reich. Wins a throw in for Plymouth. Their sheer desire out of possession to press the ball, Plymouth. Certainly gaining more confidence in trying to do that. And so far it's getting a bit more joy. And the Manchester City side at the moment. Hazard. Long again. Bundu causing problems to Vitor Reich again as Mumba does well. And now Yabi out to the right hand side for Sorinola. Sorinola now down the right hand side comes Callum right across. All the way through. Mumba will pick it up in the box though. Mumba. Now Ogbeta. Edge of the box. Mumba again. Lays it off to Yabi on the edge. Trying to weave his way through. Gives it out wide to Ogbeta, who goes across. And the thumping clearance behind by Vitor Reich will get Plymouth their first corner of the game. Again, fabulously worked again. Really good combinations down the left side. And it took Ogbeta with the ball in right across that 6-yard box. And Vitor Reich has to put it behind for the corner. Really starting to impose themselves in this game now, Plymouth. And now with their first corner, a chance to threaten the City defence. Haven't had a shot in the game yet. Sorinola to take, right-footed, round the back post. The header is into the back of the net. Incredible! First shot, first corner, and Plymouth break the deadlock. Is history repeating itself? Plymouth have the magic of the FA Cup in their hands, and they break first blood here at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City pumping chance after chance after chance, not finding the back of the net, and with their first registered shot of the game, Plymouth take the lead. Maxi Tolovierov has the finish. Great corner by Sorinola. Right-footed delivery round the back post, and Tolovierov towering above everyone else and directs it absolutely perfectly into the far right corner. It is sensational from Plymouth. That is the magic of the FA Cup. Manchester City with all the possession, all the chances, all the shots, all the territory. But one big chance for Plymouth, taken and duly taken in a massive, massive moment at the Etihad Stadium. City 0, Plymouth 1 in the 5th round of the FA Cup. Wow. Fabulous from the visitors. And you could feel they were growing into the game. You could feel they were just starting to take a little bit more and getting a bit more confident on the ball and imposing themselves on this game more and more. And with their first opportunity of the afternoon, they find the back of that net. Still a lot of work to do though defensively. De Bruyne. Back to O'Reilly. And now Ake City try and find that equaliser. 6 minutes of the first half remaining. Foden on the turn, well challenged. Bundu can carry it away. Mustafa Bundu, lovely little jinks and flicks. And look at this. Try to find the ball to right, just overhead it. Nice football again from Plymouth. And Bundu really didn't have any runners beyond them to find the forward pass as Lewis now for City. Down the right side is Bernardo Silva. Up against Ogbeta. Silva Cross deep. De Bruyne takes it down, tries to square it across. Blocked by Sorinola. Back with De Bruyne again. Lays it off to Reich. And now Bernardo Silva. Again edge of the box. Crosses and headed behind by Pleguezuelo for a City corner. Well, that will be Manchester City's 9th corner of the game. And with their first, Plymouth were clinical. That shows you the difference at this minute in time. Foden. Much more narrow. And the header is wide by Vitor Reich. It was a really good cross by Phil Foden. We've seen a lot of those City corners just kind of looping and whipped ones. This one was just a more of a dinked one. And it was really nicely worked. Much more deep into the box, into the 6-yard box. And Vitor Reich arriving and just heads it well wide. But a very, very good chance there for City. But again, not taking their opportunity. Had no shortage of them in this first half, Man City. 8 shots, 1 on target though. That's where they've struggled. Getting clear opportunities to threaten Connor Hazard's goal. And that's how stubborn and disciplined and compact and all of those words that Plymouth have once again been in this first half, like they were against Liverpool in the 4th round. They're adopting all those same qualities that they have previously, and at the moment it's reaping the same rewards that it did the last time they played in this competition. Cheap ball given away there by City. Here's Mumba finding Bundu, who's straight offside. Again, decent opportunity again for them to try and break Plymouth, but Bundu just straying offside there. There are opportunities on the counter for Plymouth. There is space and there is a lack of consistency in City's passing at times. Here's Grealish though. Breaks past his man, tries to dink it into the box, headed away. And the follow-up from De Bruyne was always rising, but I think there might have been a deflection on the way through there. So it will be another corner. Foden in a hurry to take it. See. Sets the ball down and readies himself now, Phil Foden. Right side. Left footed, another deep one and another header over the bar. This time Nathan Ake. That's a number of chances from corners that Manchester City have fluffed their lines from. Gundogan, Reich and now Ake. Certainly the visitors that are making the more noise inside the Etihad at this minute in time, with their side leading by a goal to 0. Maxi Tolofierov with the goal from a corner. Yabi. Back to Pleguezuelo. Yabi on the turn. Dinking his way through one. Wanted a foul there as he was brought down. Foden does well against Katic, apologies. And now Grealish, a bit of space here for De Bruyne! Oh, what a save by Connor Hazard. He got a good touch to it, I think. See it again, it's good space from City, and De Bruyne, what a save from Connor Hazard. De Bruyne angling it to that far corner, and the big left hand of Connor Hazard directed it wide for the corner. Fabulous goalkeeping. It's Foden's delivery, deeper this time, headed away at the back post. De Bruyne will retrieve. Last minute of the half. De Bruyne. Grealish got a bit bubbly. Lewis was there to mop it up though. Now Ake. Lays it off to McAtee. Back to Nathan Ake. City pushing and probing for that equalising goal before the interval. Grealish finding McAtee in space, but well charged out by Ogbeta. Although the referee is now going to give a foul against the Plymouth defender. Nathaniel Ogbeta arguing his side of things, but as we see the replay, it is a foul. From the reverse angle, he does kind of catch the left boot of James McAtee there, does Ogbeta, and it is a foul. I mean, Miran Mušlić doesn't agree, but once he sees the replay, I'm sure he will. One added minute at the end of the first half then. One more minute to go. City have a free kick in a dangerous area here on this right-hand side. De Bruyne and Foden standing over it. This probably might be their last chance of the half here for Manchester City. De Bruyne and Foden. It's De Bruyne who will whip it in, and the header! And Hazard can't keep it out! Nico O'Reilly heads Manchester City back on terms. It seemed pretty easy, pretty comfortable, and maybe pretty unfortunate for Plymouth. But they've been pegged back just before half-time. Nice little work between Foden and De Bruyne. The movement was already made, and as De Bruyne's ball in, O'Reilly gets away from his man, and Hazard trying to dive to keep it out. Gets a right hand to it, but cannot direct it wide of the post. And the nice little header from Nico O'Reilly has Manchester City back on level terms. It's unlucky for Conor Hazard, but it's a very good goal for Nico O'Reilly. Man City youngster, straight out of the academy, and straight in the goals for Manchester City. And there is the end of the first half then. 45 down, 45 possibly to go here at the Etihad. And just up until that last few seconds of the half, it looked like Plymouth were going to take the lead into the interval. But at the moment, it is Nico O'Reilly's header just before half-time on the brink of the break that has Manchester City back level. They've dominated the first half. Plymouth causing a shock for a while there. But maybe Manchester City can build upon that equaliser before the break. Half-time in the FA Cup at the Etihad Stadium. It's Premier League Manchester City 1, Championship Plymouth 1. Analysis and a look back at all of the weekend's results on the way in just a moment. Do stay with us. Welcome back to FA Cup Live and LFS. Half-time at the Etihad Stadium. It is Manchester City 1, Plymouth 1. We'll talk about that first half in a moment, but earlier this afternoon we saw some results. Last night, Aston Villa knocked out Cardiff in that Premier League V Championship tie there at Villa Park. The third successive Friday night game for Villa in the FA Cup this season, and Marco Asensio with a brace inside the final 20 minutes of that game, putting Aston Villa through to round 6, or the quarter-finals, really. So Villa into the quarter-finals for the first time in over a decade for Villa. 2-0 winners there. This afternoon, Crystal Palace, mad game. We'll talk about that in a moment because we have some social media stuff to talk about as well from that one. 3-1, Palace knocked out Championship Millwall. Millwall were sent down to 10 men after just 8 minutes. Liam Roberts, their goalkeeper, with a crunching pretty horrific challenge on Jean-Philippe Mateta, who was ultimately hospitalised, the Palace centre-forward. We are yet to hear any further on that, and we will bring you the latest from Jean-Philippe Mateta and how he is doing a little later on. Jaffa Van Tanganga, own goal, put Palace in front in that game. Daniel Munoz then doubled the lead before half-time, before literally in the 58th minute of the first half. 58 minutes, the 13th minute of added time in the first half, saw Wes Harding get one back for Millwall, so it kept Crystal Palace a bit nervous at 2-1, but Eddie Nketiah sealed the deal with a third goal for Palace to wrap it up and to put them through to the quarter-finals. In that old championship tie, Preston 3-0 victors over Burnley. Burnley, who can't kind of, at the moment, it doesn't look like they're conceding any goals in the league, but they're making up for it in the FA Cup. Robbie Brady with the opener, Milutin Osmajic with the second, and the third from Will Keane made it 3 to Preston, who knocked out fellow championship side Burnley earlier on. And Bournemouth took Wolves. They took each other all the way to penalties. 1-1 after 120 minutes. Evan Nielsen opened the scoring for Bournemouth, where Mateus Cunha scored an absolute worldie to get Wolves back into it in the second half. He was then sent off in extra time, Mateus Cunha, for violent conduct. So Wolves down to 10, but it didn't really matter because they went into penalties. It was 4-4 after 5 penalties apiece. Dean Howson missing for Bournemouth and Matt Doherty missing for Wolves made it 4-4 after 5 apiece. With their 6th penalty of the game, Wolves Boubacar Traore, missed. His was off target before Luis Sinisterra put Bournemouth through to the quarter-finals. That is the way round 5 has looked so far. 4 down, 1 underway, and 3 to come over the rest of the weekend. But before we get to what's coming up and how that first half went at the Etihad, we put something on our TikTok earlier this afternoon. We put the challenge, a replay, a clip of the challenge that Liam Roberts committed on Jean-Philippe Mateta a little earlier this afternoon. That Crystal Palace Millwall game. It's got a lot of reaction, and we thank everybody for commenting and reacting to that clip. But we also put something on after that about the challenge and asked people what their worst tackle they've ever seen is. If you want to get involved in the chat, do so. Or if you want to go over to our TikTok and ask us, I will read you out some. D. Lawler said Harold Schumacher on Battison in the 82 World Cup, France v Germany. Nothing comes close. He said a lot of comments on that one earlier this afternoon, saying it was the worst they'd ever seen as well. Andy C. says Dean Saunders on Paul Elliott. As well, his was the worst he saw. Ben Thatcher against Portsmouth, said Matt Lias. There as well. Green Sleeves says Eddie McReady v Billy Bremner in the 70s as well, and of course a few people mentioning Harold Schumacher, that challenge from the 1970s in the World Cup. That was probably the worst they had ever seen in their history. A couple of Eric Cantona ones as well. Pickford on Van Dijk was another one that made a mention, and Roy Keane on, of course, Haaland all those years ago as well. So do get involved on our socials. We'll keep putting those types of things up across the weekend and across the rest of the season. So do get involved and follow us on our socials. It's at LFStreams2 on TikTok there. So do get involved. Some great comments there, and great to have you interacting with us on our socials. And if you haven't subscribed already, do hit the like button, do subscribe and turn on post notifications. You don't want to miss the rest of the season here on LFS. But let's just recap that first half then at the Etihad, and really kind of drill down into what actually that first half was at the Etihad. Because if you look on the right hand side of your screen there, on the stats graphic, all that red and down the left hand side is Manchester City. The black is Plymouth. And the graphic itself probably shows the first half in a nutshell, in the fact that Manchester City were all over Plymouth. They were dominant massively, massively dominant with their possession, their shots, their chances, their corners, the territory of the game. But crucially, and as Plymouth did in the last round, they were so resilient, so disciplined, so compact. So they worked as a team and basically locked off their 18-yard box as if it was Fort Knox, in the fact of how well they defended their own 18-yard box in that first half. They were absolutely impeccable defensively in that first half. Right up until they before they scored, of course. In those first 30-35 minutes, when Man City were all over them and they couldn't get up the field, they really couldn't get out Plymouth at that stage, and they defended so resolutely, so incredibly well. And I think when they got their chance, they took it up the other end. They got one chance, they made a nice break, and I think it actually came in a moment where Manchester City maybe had stepped off their press a little bit and stepped off their kind of barrage of attacks, and Plymouth got a little bit of possession, grew a bit of confidence, and a few minutes into that little spell, they just started to impose themselves on the game and thought, well, why not? And they came forward, they won a corner, and they scored from said corner. Really nicely won by Sorinola. Great delivery around the back, and Maxi Tolovierov, he towers above anybody in that box, and an incredible header directed into the far right corner. Absolutely wonderful goal for Plymouth, and give them a lead. Some would argue, if you're a stats person, sometimes I am a stats person, I like to look at stats and like to analyse games on stats, but you can't deny, when it comes to it, watching a game of football and comparing that, sometimes stats do lie. And I think the stats in that first half, probably the most reliable stat is probably the shots on target for Manchester City. 3 shots on target out of 14 shots. So they've had a hatful of shots, but not many of them have actually threatened Connor Hazard, the Plymouth goalkeeper. And I think that's a real test there, a real kind of what's the word? A litmus test. That's what the word I was looking for. The litmus test of that first half is the fact that they've only had 3 shots on target compared to the many shots that they've had overall. Plymouth with only 1 shot, 1 on target, and a goal, as clinical as they could be, and Tolovierov, well taken goal. The City equaliser then comes literally seconds before half time. It's a good free kick one. It was Nathaniel Ogbeta who was arguing that he won the ball fairly against James McAtee. Well spotted by the referee because it was a foul. Free kick delivered by Kevin De Bruyne, and Nico O'Reilly does really well, beats off his man. Nice header across goal. And Connor Hazard, just the sheer pace of the header, just couldn't keep it out of his net. He got a hand to it, but just couldn't keep it out of the net. And it got Manchester City back on terms. And I think a big equalising goal for Manchester City, in the fact that, you know, if they had gone in at half-time having so much dominance of territory and chances in that first half, and then to go in half-time and say, look, we're 1-0 down, it would have been a bit kind of, I would say, a bit disheartening in the fact that they had done so well. Now, of course, they would believe in their quality and all that, but I think the equaliser kind of just makes Plymouth a little bit more honest in the second half, and they will not take any liberties. They will defend for their lives in the second half, as they did in the first. But I think Man City will be even more determined with that equalising goal to go on and win this now, because even when it maybe hasn't gone their way in the first half with how well they've played, I think they will come out with that kind of, that feeling of, well, everybody's against us, no one wants us to win this, and that whole kind of everybody's against us approach might actually work. But you never know. Plymouth have done well up to this point, and certainly deserved to be well in this tie come half-time, and you never know what the second half has in store. As we saw, it was 0-0 in the game against Liverpool at this time at half-time in the 4th round, and they got a second half penalty that won them the tie. Who knows? History could repeat itself. We will see. The second half at the Etihad between Man City and Plymouth is on the way very shortly. Still to come this week, though. This weekend, 3 more ties. Newcastle, Brighton, Man United, Fulham and Forest, Ipswich in 3 all Premier League ties. We'll have 2 of those games for you. As the 5th round continues, we'll tell you what that's like and who those teams are, what those games are when we come back. Do stay with us. The second half of the game between City and Plymouth, where it's 1-1 on the break. It's on the way next, as well as what's to come the rest of the weekend. Do stay with us. Welcome back to FA Cup Live for the fifth rounds here on LFS this Saturday evening. More fifth round action for you tomorrow in an all Premier League tie at Old Trafford as the holders look to continue at their defence of their trophy as they take on Premier League Fulham at Old Trafford. That's tomorrow 4:30 kick-off here on LFS. And then on Monday, tomorrow is Sunday, Monday evening 7:30 kick-off. We're at the City Ground as high-flying Nottingham Forest take on a struggling Premier League side in Ipswich. That is 7:30 on Monday evening. So those are two of our remaining. So the final two fixtures of the round we will have covered for you, and the draw for the quarterfinals as well to come over the weekend. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications. We will have the quarterfinal draw and some of the highlights from our commentary of the fifth round games for you over the weekend. So a lot to sink your teeth into and to keep aware of. And on our socials, do follow us there at LF Streams or at LF Streams 2 on our socials, X, Instagram and TikTok, for the clips and highlights and some key moments from the fifth round to keep your eye on. And we will have those for you right throughout the weekend. Right, the players just coming out for the second half here at the Etihad. It is all square at the break between Man City and Plymouth. The two sides with a lot to fight for in the second half, a lot to battle for, and a lot still to be done in this fifth round tie at this moment in time. And they're going to make a change at half-time, Manchester City. Ruben Dias is coming on. He's going to replace Nathan Ake. So a change at centre-back for Man City. Pep Guardiola either maybe not happy with how he has seen his Nathan Ake play, or could be an issue. We will tell you about that very shortly when we have a little bit more detail. But for now, we will get back underway. So change at centre-back for City. No changes for Plymouth at the break. And it is 1-1 as we head into the second half here. Remember, extra time and penalties if necessary if the game is level after 90 minutes. Callum Wright there getting Plymouth up the field quickly as Vitor Reis had to put that one out of danger for a throw-in. I think they're going to go for a long throw right off the bat here at the start of the second half. Let's see what Julio Pleguezuelo will deliver here. Into the box it comes, flicked on by Cholovierov, but the referees spotted a foul in there. Free kick to Manchester City. Of course, as well this weekend, the fifth round brings with it the first ever use of the semi-automated offside system in English football. Used across all of the weekend's fixtures, all of the round 5 ties, and of course VAR in use as well from this round onwards. Here is O'Reilly, who scored Manchester City's equaliser so far. Grealish, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan threading it through, finding Foden, but back turn to goal as O'Reilly gives it back to the substitute, Ruben Dias. Finding Grealish. Infield to Foden, lays it off well to O'Reilly. City trying to apply a little bit more pressure and add the tempo to the early period of this second half, as here is Bernardo Silva wide on the right side. Chops it back to Reich. Now Gundogan. Finding Grealish as he arrives into the box. Jack Grealish gets a cross in, and far too much pace on it. Allows Plymouth to clear their lines out of danger. That was a nice idea, but the execution, Grealish just hitting it too hard across goal as he gets the ball again for City as they attack again. Nice work into McAtee, who's beaten to it by Maxi Cholovierov. And Cholovierov wins a throw-in off Kevin De Bruyne. Maxi Cholovierov, the 24-year-old Ukrainian, if I could get my words out, he joined Plymouth in the January window for £1.7 million from Lask, the Austrian side. Lask has had his history, Slavia Praha as well, before he did join Lask in February of last year, and then on the 31st of January this year joined Plymouth for £1.7 million. He's in contract until 2027, 2.5-year deal. Here's Callum Wright, striding across the midfield, plays it through for Mumba, out wide to Ogbeta, who was beaten to it well there by Bernardo Silva, but Mumba tracking back and wins the ball. Yabi back all the way to Katic, gets it back to Hazard. He will go long. Flicked on, but brought down well by Rico Lewis, who was himself brought down and wins a free kick for City. Gundogan. O'Reilly. Back to Grealish now. O'Reilly on the overlap. Grealish going himself. Surrounded by two. Still Grealish at the corner flag. Tried to win a corner. Plymouth did really well to clear their lines actually from that position as Bundu battling with Ruben Dias and winning a free kick for Plymouth. Well, Manchester City, since their fourth round tie against Leyton Orient, have lost 3 of their last 5 games in all competitions, lost both legs of their knockout playoff against Real Madrid in the Champions League and lost to Liverpool here in the Premier League. Although their 2 wins in this time were both clean sheets, Newcastle and Tottenham, 4-0 and 1-0 respectively. Since that 2-1 victory over Leyton Orient in round 4, 2 wins and 3 defeats in the last 5 for City. As here come Plymouth, City, down the right side. Plymouth trying to hold them off. Well, Ogbeta does enough there, but Bernardo Silva finding Gundogan, driving into the box here. Ilkay Gundogan tries to cut it back and a flick on. Good save by Connor Hazard from Bernardo Silva's little flick. Really good goalkeeping, but really nice, slick play down that right side from Man City. So they come again. That's got them up. Bernardo Silva up against Ogbeta, tracks it back to Foden. Tries to go with a cross, bit of a deflection. Cholovierov got the ball clear, and it's going to be a free kick as well. A little bit of a tug around the edge of the Plymouth box gets them a free kick. You have to see that save again. Lovely little run from Ilkay Gundogan, breaking the lines, gets to the byline and cuts it back, and as the flick on there from Bernardo Silva, it's well dealt with by Connor Hazard. Just tried to direct it more than anything, Bernardo Silva. Hazard did very well. Lewis to Ilkay Gundogan. Manchester City, no doubting, have had a lot of the dominance of this game, but it's all about finding the back of the net. How clinical can they be in these tight affairs? Because that could be the difference. A moment of magic. A moment of pure class. Could be the difference maker. As it was, really, in the fourth round. That winning goal from Kevin De Bruyne sealed the deal for City on that day. They came from 1-0 down in that one to win 2-1. Away at Leyton Orient. That crazy goal that Leyton Orient scored. That went in off the back of the goalkeeper, Ortega. From about the halfway line. One of the craziest goals of the FA Cup we've seen this season. City got their leveller and then went on to win the game. As Bundu was brought down there. Free kick to Plymouth. Certainly got himself a bite so far, Mustafa Bundu. Yeah, he does well against Vitor Reis. Does really well to take the ball away from him. Ends up going down, and Sierra Leonean winning a free kick there for Plymouth. Scored 4 goals in the championship this season. 4 assists as well. His last goal came against Millwall in a 5-1 victory. In that one. Scored the 3rd goal of that 5-1 thrashing of Millwall for Plymouth. Vitor Reis. Diaz. Down the left side for De Bruyne. Plays it on to Grealish. Back to De Bruyne. Round about the edge of the box. De Bruyne squares it across to Gundogan. Round the corner to Bernardo Silva on the right side. Chips one in. Away by Sorinola. Good clearance. Under pressure. City. Come again though. De Bruyne. Bernardo Silva. Chips it past Ogbeta. Another cross in. And Katic there. Getting rid. And putting it behind for another Manchester City corner. As Ben in the chat says, come on Plymouth. This will be Manchester City's 12th corner of the game. Certainly racking up the corners. Foden to deliver. Left footed. Away at the front post by Yabi. Back with Lewis. De Bruyne finding Grealish in space. Drags the ball to his left. O'Reilly trying to thread it through. Well blocked there defensively by Plymouth. And Bundu chesting it down well. Nice little move here. Mumba has to go back. Plegashuelo finding Ogbeta wide on this left side. Has to come back the way though. No ball forward. No forward pass on that time for Plymouth. Sorinola does enough to keep it in play, but can't keep the possession with his header. And it's put right back into Manchester City possession. Gundogan. Diaz. Down the left-hand side comes Grealish. Up against Sorinola, who's defended him well all day. But gets past him this time, and De Bruyne trying to lift one in, and the little scissor kick from Rico Lewis goes over the bar, but that was another chance for Man City. Again, it was really nicely worked. De Bruyne beating off his man into Olivierov, and as he crossed it in, it came off the head of Katic and out to Rico Lewis, who tried for the little scissor kick with his right boot, and it goes flying over the bar. Decent effort. Worth a try, but didn't threaten Connor Hazard's goal. As Ben says, 25-1 odds for Plymouth, stuck a tenner on them, and United tomorrow. Well, you can see if your bet comes in here in LFS. We'll have this game live and tomorrow's game between Manchester United and Fulham as well. So you can watch and see if your bet comes in, and you get your, what would that be, £275? Certainly wouldn't be a bad weekend's work if that comes up for you. Surely if Plymouth do find their way through to the quarterfinals, it will be one of the results of the weekend and one of the shocks of the weekend, considering Man City's home form overall. But certainly in this competition, as Grealish cuts it back to the edge of the box, Rico Lewis again sees another shot of his fly over the bar. I think the flag was up anyway, but that will be another disappointment for the youngster. Again, good break down the left side. De Bruyne and Grealish, and I think Kevin De Bruyne might have strayed offside there. The 1-2 link up with Grealish, and that's where the offside comes in the build-up. That's where they've called it offside, but it didn't matter anyway because the ball didn't find the back of the net. Rico Lewis fluffing his lines on that occasion, and it's maybe needs must for Man City now because Erling Haaland's going to make way. He's going to be coming on. And that's probably the best compliment you can give Plymouth defensively, that Man City need to bring on their goal machine to find the back of the nets. Erling Haaland replacing James McAtee. Ben says, great commentary by the way, feel like I'm watching it. Thank you very much, Ben. It's great to have your support on the channel. I mean, if Erling Haaland has to come on, you know the team that Man City are facing have been a very strong and rigid defence, and so far Plymouth certainly have. Other than that set piece from open play, Manchester City have struggled to really test Conor Hazard on multiple occasions. Foden with a switch ball. Space for Grealish. Takes it down well. Gets past Sorinola. Grealish chips it across, and Better tried to get it away. Will try a second. And Foden blocked off as he tried to get through. Yabi couldn't keep the ball from Bundu there, and Man City keep it in the final third. Just over 30 minutes to go. De Bruyne finding Grealish. Grealish tracked all the way back as he turns past his man now in Callum Wright, finding De Bruyne on the turn. Lewis does well to hold it off, but O'Reilly well charged down as Bundu tried to get on the end of that one, but again City have the man advantage and keep the ball under pressure for Plymouth. De Bruyne. As we hit the hour mark here at the Etihad Stadium, Manchester City 1, Plymouth 1 in the 5th round of the FA Cup. Bernardo Silva up against Ogbeta, cuts it back. The shot from distance is wide from Phil Foden. Edge of the box from Phil Foden. And for a second there, the camera angle was a little bit deceiving. Angling it to that far corner, and it was hit wide, just wide, not too far away. Decent effort from Foden, but again, another chance where Man City haven't tested the goalkeeper. 17 shots, 4 on target. Plymouth, 1 shot, 1 on target, 1 goal. I mean, it's quite a stark contrast. The ball in behind here. Bundu's made the run. Bundu breaking in behind. Takes it down in the box. Seen out. And the flag does go up now eventually. Took them a while there, the assistant. Had a hint of offside first off when I first seen the run. And yeah, he's just lent himself offside there, Mustafa Bundu. Maybe wanted to let the play continue there for a second, the assistant. Cause a bit of nerves and excitement. That's an awful cross that time for Man City. Nico O'Reilly there, massively overhitting the switch ball. Goes out for a Plymouth throw as the visitors ready some subs as well. Man City bringing on probably the most threatening of substitutes in Erling Haaland a few moments ago for James McAtee, and I think Plymouth are going to make more than just the one. I think they're going to make 3 changes in a moment. We'll let you know what they are when they happen. Diaz. Reis trying to switch the ball across. Again, aerially. That's where I think Plymouth have been a lot better this afternoon, as De Bruyne is down here. A little clash with Callum Wright. And he's holding his head, Kevin De Bruyne. See it again. Yeah. He just kind of gets caught by the arm of Callum Wright. But Wright was up and won the ball. It was a fair challenge. De Bruyne just caught, unfortunately, there. VAR had a quick look and quickly cleared that one. No dangerous or foul anything about that, as we're going to make Plymouth are going to make those substitutes now in a moment, as their players are getting a bit of refreshment as well while there's a stoppage in play. Hard work makes you thirsty, and I'm sure those Plymouth players looking a little bit of a refreshment for the hard work they've put in over the last hour or so. It's Bundu, Yabi and Mumba are all going to make way for Plymouth. And some fresh legs coming on to replace them all. And we're going to see Beidou, Houghton and Al-Haj all come on for Plymouth. So a triple substitution then, all in one go, with about 26 minutes or so to go. Beidou, Houghton and Al-Haj all coming on for Plymouth. Of course, that was as 3 of their 5 substitutes. Man City have made 2, 1 at half time and 1 not long into the second half. Ruben Diaz coming on for Nathan Ake. We believe that might be an injury issue for Nathan Ake. We're not too sure about that, but that's what we've heard. And Erling Haaland on for James McAtee. So City with 3 substitutes, 2 occasions left to make them. And Plymouth with 2 substitutes left, 2 occasions to make them in this second half, with about 25 or so minutes to go. Still on terms, still level inside the Etihad Stadium. The ball all the way back there to Stefan Ortega, who really hasn't really got involved this afternoon. That was only his 12th touch of the afternoon for Stefan Ortega. Hasn't made a save yet, of course. The only Plymouth shot of the game went into the back of the net, so he hasn't made a save yet, the City goalkeeper. Here's Vitor Reis. O'Reilly. Out wide to Grealish. We'll come back in field. Jack Grealish. Go for the switch ball, but Callum Wright made sure he wasn't going to get that. But he does shove Jack Grealish to the ground and gets Man City a free kick. De Bruyne. Ruben Diaz. Finding Gundogan. Now out wide on the right hand side comes Bernardo Silva. Back to Reis. O'Reilly. De Bruyne. Plymouth with a little bit of extra energy at the minute, getting themselves around the field a little bit more, being a little bit more intense in their press off the ball. Here is Ruben Diaz drifting forward, finding Grealish on the left flank again. Comes in field again, Jack Grealish. Again, trying to eye up that ball to the right side. Does get it off to Lewis, and Lewis, his cross got a flick as it comes out the other end. O'Reilly will deliver it back in, headed away by Tolovierov. Only as far as Gundogan. Now Reis and Lewis into the box. Rico Lewis squares it across, not cleared away. Eventually it is. Anywhere will do really for Houghton there. More pressure from City. Bernardo Silva. De Bruyne down the right side. Gundogan. Now Grealish. Coming down the left side. Grealish breaking into the box. Overlapping was O'Reilly, whose cross was cleared behind by Maxi Tolovierov for a corner. So solid defensively. Out of possession, Plymouth. To not have conceded many big chances in front of goal from open play against City after over an hour shows their defensive stability. How strong they are. Grealish. De Bruyne! Tried to catch the goalkeeper right, but Connor Hazard was alert and he parried it over the bar. Again, an interesting set-piece routine. Goes short, does De Bruyne to Grealish. Grealish gives it back to De Bruyne, who was driving away from goal, and as he connects with it, the whip on the ball just tries to catch out Connor Hazard, who got really well behind it and punched it over the bar. Now De Bruyne goes across the near post. Oh, took a bit of a deflection. Now Erling Haaland over the bar. That was a bit of a scramble in the box from that corner. Corner taken short across the front post. It comes bobbling away from Sorinola. And as Plymouth clear their lines, the shot from the edge of the box from Foden bobbles its way out to Erling Haaland, whose left-footed sweeper of an effort goes over the bar. They're getting closer. They're knocking on the door, Man City, but it's that concrete steel door at the moment that Plymouth have, and it is pretty hard to break down. Certainly from open play it is. Tolivierov back to Katic. Pleguezuelo won't take any risks, goes back to his keeper, and Hazard goes long. Header won by Reich. Tolivierov. Pleguezuelo. Well, clear it up the left sideline. As Al-Hadj tried to keep that in play, but City win the throw-in. Back with Ruben Dias. Binding O'Reilly down the left side. Has to give it back to Dias, though, as he was pressed by Wright there. And Grealish tries one over the top, looking for the run of Haaland. One that Katic got the better of and put it out for the corner. It was good tracking defended by Nikola Katic. Takes it short now, De Bruyne from the corner. Grealish tiptoeing past Sorinola, cuts it back to De Bruyne. Edge of the box, De Bruyne. Blocked by Katic and cleared away. It's defence v attack at the moment, as it probably has been almost exclusively this whole game. With their one chance, Plymouth find the net, took the lead. Man City got their leveller just before half-time, and as we enter the final 20 minutes of this game, it is still 1-1. And Plymouth are going to make another substitution. This will be their fourth of the game, and it will see Nathaniel Ogbeta. He's going to be replaced down that left-hand side. Ogbeta is going to be replaced here by Timoš Pujac. Pujac on for Ogbeta. O'Reilly with a throw down the left side. Gives it back to Ruben Dias. Plymouth just have to do more of the same. Defend for their lives. Out of possession and maybe try and nick something on the break. Nick something on the counter. Bernardo Silva. Back across to Ruben Dias. Now down the left is De Bruyne. Back to Dias. Bit far for Vitor Reis. Man City keep the possession and keep Plymouth penned in here at the moment. Trying to eke that difference. De Bruyne's ball. Too high for Haaland. Not far enough for Bernardo Silva. Perfectly cleared by Pujac for his first involvement out for the throw. Reis. Dias. Finding Grealish now. Jack Grealish dribbling his way through. Ball cleared away, only as far as De Bruyne though. Gets to the byline, tries to get it across. Blocked well there by Boateng. And it will be a Man City corner. What are we up to now? Corner number 16 of this game for Man City. Plymouth with 1, and they scored from that one corner. De Bruyne's delivery. Flipped up, and the rebound cleared away by Plymouth defensively there as Lewis had the shot again. Again, it was a decent corner. Again, Plymouth have got so many bodies in the box that Man City just crowded out at times. I said it, they're going to need a little bit of magic here, City, with how well Plymouth have defended and how many bodies they've got back at any given time. They're going to need to be quick, and they're going to need to be pretty unique about it, as Tolovierov there sliding to put it out for another corner, with De Bruyne made that run down the left. Tolovierov got the better of him. Will be a Man City corner. Right-footed, goes short to Grealish, gives it back to De Bruyne, who again whips it in, and the header brought down and palmed away, cleared away somehow. They're checking for a possible handball. VAR. See the replay. De Bruyne's delivery. Yeah, it was Haaland that headed it back across goal. Oh, does it come off the arm there of Pujac? Is that a foul? Is that a handball? I mean, he's holding on to Haaland, so his arm is in a natural position for the act that he was doing, but... And I think VAR are going to see that and clear it. Another VAR check. No penalty. Quickly cleared up. And quickly we move on. De Bruyne swings it back into space for Ruben Dias. Reis. Foden down the right side. Lays it off for Bernardo Silva now. Back to Foden. Left-footed delivery from Phil Foden. Headed away by Tolovierov. That's De Bruyne. Grealish. Lifts it in again. Haaland in the back. Hazard with a save, and the follow-up is hit wide from Bernardo Silva. How did that not find the back of the net? Great delivery by Grealish. Haaland making the run round the back of his defender. Heads it, kind of stretches to hit it on target. Hits Connor Hazard, and as it bounces back out to Bernardo Silva, it ends up deflecting wide. And the corner whipped in. Headed behind from another Plymouth player for another corner. They've 15 minutes to the 90-minute mark here, Plymouth. And they're under a barrage. Foden to deliver. Headed on and in by Nico O'Reilly again. Nico O'Reilly is going to be the hero for Manchester City. A brace against Plymouth Argyle. 2 headed goals, 2 set pieces, and Nico O'Reilly has turned into a goal machine in this game of football. They've been pushing for it and probing for it, and literally seconds before it, we were questioning how the ball didn't find the back of the nets, but now it has, and Manchester City have their second, as does Nico O'Reilly, and the Premier League side eventually, after 76 minutes, have the lead here at the Etihad Stadium. Man City 2, Plymouth 1, normal scheduling resumed. Big chances. Well taken by Nico O'Reilly. VAR, well, at least Plymouth are asking for a check, and the referee is saying we play on, there's no issue. They wanted a foul, a little push in the box before the goal was scored, but the referee, moved by that VAR the same, saw no issue with the goal, as we play on. So it is 2-1 to Manchester City. And now that Plymouth have got nothing to lose, really, they just can throw bodies forward and try and steal something late on here. I mean, it has been all Manchester City, and if they don't come away with the result, it would have been a massive, massive pull-off, an upset from Plymouth. It's not over yet. Oh, that ball in. Cleared away by Man City. Plymouth have added a little bit of extra spice, although they've given it away cheaply there. Bernardo Silva, though, overrunning it. Throw into Plymouth. Long kick by Hazard. Body's further forward this time, which O'Reilly has to clear long. Plymouth will retrieve the ball here with Katic. Switches out to the left. Intercepted by Bernardo Silva, but could only head it out for a throw there. Silva. Long kick by Hazard. Nice distribution, finding Sorinola. And Wright flicks the ball on. That's it. Well defended there against Beidou. But again, Plymouth win the ball back. Sorinola. Beidou. Midfield now, Houghton. Try to square it to Beidou again, but misplaced. And Man City get the ball back. They're readying another substitute on the sidelines I saw there for Plymouth. I think it might have been Cornel Souks, who is readying himself on the sidelines. But to be incredibly honest with you, you know, yes, the stats read on the right-hand side of the screen. I mean, it's a sea of absolute Man City dominance from minute 1 to minute whatever we are, 79, 80 minutes now. But if I'm brutally honest with you, Plymouth defensively all afternoon have been absolutely incredible. And you know, the fact that Man City hadn't taken the lead up until the 76th minute of this game is massive credit to Plymouth and how well they've played out of possession, because we know Man City love to have the ball, love to dominate possession, love to absolutely barrage teams and break them down by constantly passing you to death. And we know that it's inevitable at times when teams set off Man City that they will find the back of the net. And I think until Liverpool came here and did that exact thing of setting off and defending and kept a clean sheet against City, maybe that could have turned the tide. And today, for a while, it looked like Plymouth were going to hold Manchester City to nothing more than just a real bad showing in terms of just not being able to find a way through. But 2 set pieces, that's why we say set pieces are so crucial in football. 3 goals, all from set pieces this afternoon, and all very big goals in this very, very tight affair. Albeit the stats will read that Man City have dominated possession, territory, stats, all the shots, the chances, whatever you want to mention. I'm sure Man City have dominated it. And to be honest, it's the scoreline that fairly reflects how the game has gone. It's been as tight as anything. And Plymouth, after taking the lead, they probably defended even better than they did in the first 30-odd minutes before they'd scored. And they've conceded 2 goals since that point. But sometimes that's what happens. Against the big sides, you give it your all, and still it's just not enough to win the game. Here's Grealish. Nice little ball. Oh, just overrun Rico Lewis's run there. Nice little ball. Just evaded Rico Lewis at the last second. As Plymouth can clear it of danger. 8 minutes of normal time to go, plus the additional time. I don't think Man City are out of the woods yet. You know, the game is still in the balance. Plymouth did nick a goal against the run of play earlier on, against the kind of running of the chances and the way Man City were dominating the game. They did get a goal from their only set piece of the game, their only corner of the game so far, so who's to say they couldn't do it again? But Man City will be a lot more careful and not take any unnecessary risks in these final minutes to maybe gift Plymouth an opportunity to try and get that second. Grealish brought down there by Tolovierov. As it was saying about Plymouth, they made that fifth and final substitution a moment or two ago. It was Cornel Shooks that came on, replacing Matthew Sorinola. And just as I mentioned that, Manchester City are making a substitution. Phil Foden is going to be replaced by Nico Gonzalez in the midfield. So another substitution from City. And that will be their third of the game. De Bruyne. Back the way of Ruben Dias. Switching it out. Lewis under pressure. Puach got himself involved and caused a bit of upset to the Man City defence, but Bernardo Silva calmly retrieved it and won a throw-in there for City. Back here though, Plymouth applying the press and under pressure. Stefan Ortega gives Plymouth a good chance with a throw-in down the right-hand side. It was very good pressing by Plymouth from the throw initially from City, and Stefan Ortega has had very little to do all afternoon. Caused a bit of concern there, that press from Plymouth. Throw in here, Sooks to take. Into the box, launched, bobbling down. Wright will keep it alive. Has to return it back to the defence as he goes long into the box, flicked on. The header by Sooks. But Manchester City retrieve as O'Reilly tries to clear his lines and headed out. That time by Katic for a Man City throw. Well, for Manchester City, what's next? Well, as I said, this is the only competition they feel that they can win a trophy this season. Silverware, their only hope is this competition, so they will progress as it stands through to the quarterfinals. Which will be played next month, or later this month, apologies, we're now into March. But their next game is not till next weekend. They have a free midweek because of no Champions League action, so they're away to Nottingham Forest next Saturday lunchtime. So a full week to prepare for that real tough game away at Forest before they host Brighton a week later. So a bit of time between their games to come. A lot of resting time for Manchester City to come. For Plymouth, they're back in action in midweek, 3 days' time, no rest for the wicked, and they face a Hull side who sit a few places above them in the Championship table, a real relegation six-pointer at the MKM Stadium on Tuesday night before they host Sheffield Wednesday next Saturday, Plymouth. So some big games on the horizon for them as they try and survive in the Championship. They've got 12 games left to play of the Championship season, Plymouth, to save themselves. They're only 3 points off safety. And that Hull game could be a huge one on Tuesday night. But they've kept themselves so hard and so well in this game to the latter stages that, of course, this is their main focus. This game's not done and dusted yet. They could still yet take Man City to extra time if they nick a late goal here. But you wouldn't rule out the possibility of that happening. Those Plymouth fans have come a long way from the southwest of England all the way up to the northwest. 864-mile round trip from Plymouth to Manchester back to Plymouth. And I'm sure those Plymouth fans, whether they lose this game or not, they will be incredibly happy, incredibly proud of their team and what the performance they've seen of them today, because they really should be proud of them. how well they've played and how far they took Manchester City in this game. Of course, it will count as no consolation to the players and the manager, but in terms of the result. But in terms of performance, a performance like this can ignite Plymouth in their season and how well they defended. Well, here comes Gundogan for City. They may want to add a third to give themselves a little bit more breathing space. As De Bruyne, good save by Hazard from the cross. And the clearance has Callum Wright chasing down Vitarage. Back to Ortega. Wright still pressing as Ortega feeds it out to Rico Lewis. 2.5 minutes of normal time to go, plus the additional time. De Bruyne. Couldn't find Grealish. Well blocked by Tolovierov. But given away by Heighton, won by Haaland. Nicks away from his challenge as Lewis tried to play it through to Haaland. Well defended by Plymouth, although they're going to pull it back, the referee here, for a foul on Rico Lewis after the ball had already gone, as he already played the ball and was just caught there by Puach. It's a certain foul, certain free kick taken quickly by Man City, not wasting any time. Here is Grealish trying to edge his way towards the box, not given that room. In what remains a very rigid and disciplined Plymouth defence as Puach battling Bernardo Silva. Silva comes to better. Oh, over the feet of I think it is Gonzalez. Gives it away. And now Callum Wright has space down the left-hand side here for Plymouth. And there's a through ball on. Al-Hajj is in the box. Al-Hajj try to square with a cross, and De Bruyne. Ortega there has to clear his lines, but that was a chance. A rare break forward for Plymouth. And Ortega goes long. Haaland chested down to Bernardo Silva. Although given away again. Heighton. Al-Hajj. Tight space. Couldn't keep it as Gundogan now he tries to find Haaland on a run in behind. Erling Haaland. Free as a bird here. Erling Haaland. Saved by Hazard. Although right back to Haaland again. He'll have another chance. Squares it across. De Bruyne. That should be that. Kevin De Bruyne. The Man City captain should seal the deal. Haaland shot saved by Hazard. And Haaland rebounding. And gets the ball into the path of De Bruyne with a tap in. And that is the third. And surely the ultimate goal that decides the tie. Maybe enticing Plymouth up the field with a little chance. Maybe inadvertently, really, from Manchester City's point of view. Up the field they went. The space was left in behind. And of course Erling Haaland broke free. And in the end finding Kevin De Bruyne to seal the deal for Manchester City. As we hit the 90-minute mark, it is Man City 3, Plymouth 1. And that's the risk of what can happen when you chase a game, when you try and push for a late equaliser. You always risk the threat of conceding another, and they did. And actually, a rare break for Manchester City in the fact that, I mean, they haven't had much space to break into all night, and on that occasion they did, and they made it count by adding a third. As we just see a replay of the 2 goals from Nico O'Reilly, as he's been given Emirates Player of the Match, and massively deserved, by the way. Fabulous performance from Nico O'Reilly, the 19-year-old. They haven't given up on another one here. City. That was well blocked by Tolovierov against Grealish there. Nico O'Reilly certainly deserving player of the match for his really inspired performance today. Quite incredible performance. Scoring those first 2 goals for Manchester City. The 2 goals that turned the tie on its head. And massively deserved. But let's not forget that Plymouth, let's remember the run that they've been on. They got to the FA Cup. They played Brentford in the third round, knocked them out on their own patch. They then beat Liverpool in the fourth round, and then another third successive Premier League side for Plymouth in the fifth round in Manchester City. And they have shown up in their numbers this evening for another big FA Cup game for their side, who have played incredibly well. But in the end, the golf and quality has shone through for Manchester City. Here's Grealish running out a fourth. Well, blocked out there by, I think it's Tolivierov again, who's been everywhere all afternoon. He scored the Plymouth goal in the first half to give them the lead. He's done more than just give them a goal. He's won nearly all of his duels. And some great accurate passes. 96% passing accuracy from Maxim Tolivierov today. 24 out of his 25 passes were accurate. 45 touches. 2 long balls that were accurate. 5 of his 7 ground duels won. Made 6 clearances. 1 blocked shot. 1 interception. 5 tackles. Incredible. Well, they come forward again. City, Erling Haaland. De Bruyne dinks it back post. Bernardo Silva. Headed away by Katic in behind. It will bobble for a City corner with a minute and a half to go of the 5 added. So corner here for Man City. Corner number 20 of the game. Bernardo Silva's delivery. Headed on and headed over by Vitor Reich. And Connor Hazard will take this goal kick with seconds remaining, and Man City will have their name in the hats for the quarterfinals. And we'll see who they will face when the draw is completed after our game tomorrow between Man United and Fulham. After that game, the draw will be completed. Man City will be ball number 7 for that one tomorrow. If that ever interests you, that, and we'll have the full details of that shortly after the draw is completed on all of our socials for LFS. That's it! The final whistle goes, and despite an early scare in the first half, Pep Guardiola's Manchester City keep their hope of silverware this season alive by knocking out the Championship side Plymouth. A brace from Nico O'Reilly turned it on its head before Kevin De Bruyne, the City captain, put the seal on the envelope that books Manchester City's place into the quarter-finals. Plymouth gave their all, fought to the death, and had a lead that they tried to hold on to. But when you come up against the likes of Manchester City, even though they haven't been at their best this season, their golfing quality still shone through. No doubt in the fact that if Plymouth perform like they did today in the Championship, they will go far. But their wonderful FA Cup run this season comes to an end at another Premier League side. They knocked out 2 before this, but 3 was just too many for Plymouth. Marian Mušlić can be very proud of his side as they fought to the death to City, who took till the 76th minute to take the lead, and in the end it was Manchester City that came out on top. Final score in the 5th round of the FA Cup. It is finished Manchester City 3, Plymouth Argyle 1. And that for round 5 this afternoon on LFS. 5 ties done, 3 still to go as Villa beat Cardiff 2-0 to book their place into the quarterfinals. Palace progressed past Championship Millwall 3-1. Preston knock out Burnley in the All-Championship tie earlier this afternoon. Bournemouth needed penalties to knock out Wolves in that All-Premier League tie. And here at the Etihad, it is finished Man City 3, Plymouth 1 as the Premier League side progress. Tomorrow, Newcastle will face Brighton. And that all Premier League tie, that's the early kick-off tomorrow. We'll have the live coverage of the game at Old Trafford as Manchester United, the holders, take on Fulham, and that all Premier League tie. That's at 4:30 tomorrow, and the draw will follow shortly afterwards. Before we finish the weekend with a Monday night trip to the City Ground as Nottingham Forest take on Ipswich, 7:30 on Monday night. We'll have that game live on LFS as well. But a reminder for you that tomorrow our focus is on Old Trafford as the holders who beat City in the final last year, Manchester United in that derby win in the final, they face Fulham tomorrow in defence of their title at tomorrow 4:30. Join us for that. But it is Manchester City through their youth talent Nico O'Reilly that turned the game on its head, and Plymouth's wonderful run in the FA Cup comes to an end. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.